Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Topic and Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Wednesday, December 22nd. So, really nice day for equities. I would call it a strong equity day, strong breath. Look at the performance. Nasdaq was up about 1%. I think some of these quotes are a little bit delayed here. But Nasdaq up, or Q's up over 1%, small caps up the same, and S&P also up about the same. Big move down in the VIX today, so down about 11% for the day. Let's go through some of these charts. You can see the S&P did close on the high of the day. That's really nice, and great job if you stayed with it the last couple days. There hasn't really been any type of sell signal the last couple days from what we saw just a couple days ago on Monday. It's been pretty good performance. And strong breath. That's kind of telling you too that when you look under the radar, what we've been seeing the last couple days is different than what we saw the last few months, basically, right? Where we just saw a lot of negative, bad market breath. Well, it's been positive, and you can see on the bottom left of your screen the indicator that quick indicator that we use that looks at volume and advancing versus declining names. I also like to bring up this screen once in these videos just to kind of give you the raw data, but you could see the Dow had 26 advancers, 4 decliners. Look at the S&P, over 400 advancing names there, and the Nasdaq 1,700 advancing names versus 1,000. So what's the analogy that we always use, right? Well, the wind is at your back when on days like this, right? It's a lot easier to be a stock picker right now, right? You're just looking at an environment where you pick 10 names out of a hat with no edge. You're going to find positive performance given given what the overall market breadth is doing, both in S&P and in Nasdaq. So let's talk about a couple areas. First of all, so here's the VIX. We're kind of retesting. It's amazing. We were just above. We got to a high of over 26. Right. We talked about one of the earlier in the week. We thought this was a really good signal. This VIX divergence. Right. When the S&P was getting close to testing the lows of testing what we saw back in the beginning of December. The S&P was doing that, but the VIX was not. Right, that was a bullish divergence. We talked about it in the video on Monday. Talked a little bit about it, I think, yesterday as well. But so far, that was a really good indicator, and we got everything that we're kind of looking for. Right, in terms of confirmation, I said, hey, that VIX divergence is really good with the S&P, and what we want to see is breadth pick up, and we certainly have seen that. So let's talk about. Well, first we'll go over the. Let's just see where we settled in for the day, and index futures are still trading for a little bit while longer. But notice that we're back inside value, right? And here's what I was referring to about the December low, right? So you kind of have a hammerish type bar. Nice bullish engulfing yesterday, follow through today, closing on the highs. Next area of resistance is going to be right around 47.08 on the daily chart. Nasdaq, which I thought was a touch weaker, kind of middle of the day, but it powered through, right? We were hesitating around this bottom of value, 16,067, right, for Nasdaq futures. If we look at bring up that 5-minute chart, which was basically right in here, right? We started to kind of move back down, and we saw that buying kind of pick up again, 230, and since then, just basically methodically inching higher for the rest of the day. So very nice. And again, if you look at that daily chart, I think that's a really nice positive to see us where we closed for the day, back inside value. I don't like when the indices or even stocks are trading below value. I like to see them either inside the range or, of course, moving out and up and to the right, basically. So that's Nasdaq. Small caps, which did see some buying late in the day. We saw a couple leveraged ETF plays go up. Same thing for the Qs. Notice that this is building a nice, here's kind of a little, I don't want to call it triangle pattern, but you could draw a line in here, trend line in here, trend line in there, and we're starting to kind of retrace some of these areas. Kind of zoom out a little bit. I'm still really not crazy about IWM, even though it's made a very nice move off the lows. But from a technical standpoint, back in the range. All right, a couple areas that got me excited today was just some different areas of participation. So first, let me talk about probably things that are not on your radar if you're not a member of Tribeca Trade Group and you didn't see these types of things for the day. But look at the base metals. This is DBB. It's a very gappy ETF because futures trade more continuously, and this ETF just trades between 9:30 to 4 o'clock. So obviously a lot of moves like copper futures trade outside of the normal 9:30 to 4 o'clock. So that's why it's gappy, but you have to kind of get over that and just rely on the basically the trend. But remember, this was this big move that we saw in the base metals ETF. And if you're not familiar with this ETF, it's copper, it's zinc, it's aluminum. But look at the move that we're seeing at this point. And we started to see things yesterday, as well as I think even the day before yesterday, things like Alcoa, right, which I believe we mentioned in yesterday's video. Very, very strong, just bam, outside of value and just continuing to move up. I traded some FCX today too. That was something that I was watching today, noticing the strength in Alcoa yesterday. And I think we did talk about FCX yesterday. Also, if you want to look at a tech resources, right, that is making a move. Also, gold, right? We talked a little bit about this in the weekend macro video that possibly a decent move for 2022 may be coming in gold. Notice how slim this value area is for next year, right? We're kind of peeking ahead at this developing value area because we only have one more week of 2021. But I think a decent move in gold is coming, but I will still rely on these levels, either 1745 or 1855. So, we did see some gold buying going on. GDXJ saw some positioning. This is the junior gold miners. Again, I don't really, this is a little bit different. I don't really like this chart, but I'm just kind of pointing out where we saw some positioning. I like things like Alcoa and FCX better because the trend is just a bit stronger. And I think did I mention this one already too? Tech resources also looks like it might be ready to get going. So outside of this space, which commodities, and sorry, one more thing with commodities, but look at the agriculture ETFs as well. Right, we've noted the CF Industries, great initials, by the way. This has been the leader within this group. Also, NTR has gotten going. Right, that made a new high today, out to new highs today. So again, you got more areas participating. Right, this is much different than what we saw a couple weeks ago. And I personally like to have as long as the charts look good like this. But I like to have some trades, provided that the trend looks good like this. Again, kind of saying the same thing, that I like to have some trades in multiple spaces. I don't like being all lumped up in growth, right, and in software or in cyber plays, right. It's nice to have a couple plays on in there, but it's also nice to have something on like a commodity play as well. Again, not just to put trades on, but as long as that it looks pretty good. And then two other areas too that I want to talk about briefly, right, is the medical devices. Very, very strong. And look at that candle today, getting over the downtrend line and and breaking through this area of consolidation. So if you go across the space, ISRG, very strong, right? This thing was up 4%, just slipped into value yesterday. Nice continuation there. This is another one that we've talked about a couple times. Edward Life Sciences, you got a full-on breakout going on in EW. Wait for Thinkorswim to adjust here for a minute. But this is a nice looking chart. Boom, there it is. Yeah, you had to wait for it for a minute, but nice double bottom in here and very, very strong in this one. I'm also watching INMD, right, which is another one that really got beaten up. Still below the 50-day moving average and the 20-day moving average, but wouldn't be surprised if this starts to retrace. Or, just to kind of be open to all possibilities, maybe it goes up, kind of tests a little bit, lets these moving averages kind of catch up a little bit. But I think this will be an interesting to watch for next year. Right? Maybe not exactly as strong as some of those other ones that I mentioned, but still pretty good looking. And we talked about this group too, coming into the week. But look at what a Tandem is doing. Tandem Diabetes has broken out too as well. So very strong looking. And then of course just one other group to talk about rather than I know that you're going to see a lot of people talk about the growth stocks, but I liked when something else like I said, I like when there's multiple areas that are participating like this. Home builders gets back above the moving average. Home Depot had a nice move today too. Still not that huge of a move, but moving in the right direction and actually moved inside value. But if you look at things like GRBK, a lot of these charts are going to look very, very similar. But take a look at the hammer bar, top of value, follow through from there. Also a Toll Brothers too, which very look at how similar that chart is. Also hitting the top of value and moving up. So really like that participation. And there's a few other names within the group. Beside that, here's my trades. I always show my trades, or at least as long as I remember. I talked about a couple of these. Also, I didn't talk about crude too, but crude has been strong today too. So here's a few different trades, and I did get out of a few names that I talked about, right? I'm not being super greedy with some of my trades, right? NEWR New Relic, we talked about this one the last couple days. I took my profit target right where I wanted to, and then figured I would watch to see what it does. How could I get through 10 minutes of this video without talking about Tesla? Tesla was my day trade winner of the day. We heard about Elon, and that's been a big overhang for the stock that he's been selling. This, we just really, and this is where the market web's volume at price really comes in handy, right? We looked at this thing once it broke value for the day, right, which was 967. So again, I don't mess with trying to call these, as I talked about in yesterday's video. I'm not looking to find the exact time when a stock reverses, right? I'm looking to kind of play it once it starts to once I see that there's buying going on. Again, everybody's game is a little bit different. Some people love to find the exact bottom in a stock or when it turns. I don't. It's not my thing. I would rather begin to play it once I get a little bit of confirmation. So this was a nice move, 967, and I targeted this 1 hour VPOC. So if you go back to the trades blotter, that was the trade that I took for the day. Notice if I scroll down here, I took this right at that VPOC, right? So again, using these as a roadmap for the day, 1,009. And then what I decided was, I was talking about this. I added a small trade call spread for next week, right? Which is the 1020, 1035. In case we do get a little bit of follow through movement in Tesla, I've got some exposure for it. All right. Another, couple other names that the semis were also worked out pretty well. Marvell, this is a name that I've been in now for a couple weeks, kind of just been hanging in there. It bounced really nicely on the 20-day moving average, and we'll see if we can begin to kind of move back up. NVIDIA was another one where we saw a lot of call activity. I'm still kind of, I'm waiting for a little bit of confirmation. I'm noticing that it's right around that downtrend line, and I'm waiting for this to move in. Again, I don't care if I miss the first, $10. This little move in here. I'm looking for like a bigger move. So that's why sometimes I wait to see that buyers are kind of showing up, that the sellers are done in the name, and you kind of go from there. All right, guys, I'll leave it there for the day. Really, really nice day. This is great. Kind of what we're looking for. Even though the Santa Claus rally, which I've never heard so much about a Santa Claus rally before in all my years of trading, I've never heard so much about the Santa Claus rally, the Santa Claus rally. That officially starts next week, right? So that's the last 5 trading days of the year, and the two trading days into next year as well. So in any event, I'll leave it there. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.